How y'all doing? I'm Steve. I want to demonstrate some kettlebell exercises here. Some of the guys at my jiu-jitsu class have been commenting on grip strength and posterior chain strength and trying to build some of that stuff. So I just want to do some exercises and kind of demonstrate some ways that we can build that up. Alright, grip strength. This is a 53-pound kettlebell I'm going to pick up here. It's that guy. Alright, right there, I'm working on a little grip strength. Okay, now the most important thing about strength though is integrating the larger muscle groups in every movement, right? So if I try to pull this 53-pound kettlebell with my bicep, that's not going to go that well for me. I could do it, I'm a pretty strong guy, but I could pull a lot harder if I use my lat right there. Now the way I get my lat to work in this movement is I pull my shoulder towards my hip and I drive my elbow back. Rather than thinking about lifting the kettlebell, I'm actually going to think about pulling my elbow back as I'm pulling my shoulder towards my hip. So if I put my hand on my lat right there and I pull my shoulder towards my hip, you can actually feel my lat contract. You can actually feel it squeeze and get tight. Now some people can't actually feel their lats, but you can, if you put your hand on them, you'll be able to feel the muscle move. Meaning you might, if you stand here and do this, maybe you don't feel that muscle squeeze as you're standing there. But if you put your hand on it, you'll start to feel it. And then over time, as you work that muscle, you'll get more sensation, and it'll be a little bit easier to innervate or get the muscle to turn on or contract. Okay, so I'm going to do these kettlebell rows here with this 53-pound kettlebell. I'm just going to pull that guy, making sure that I'm squeezing my lat the whole time. Now, another important thing to think about here is the way that I'm standing. I don't want to be leaning forward and pushing my knee forward, because then I'm going to be tightening my quad here and I can develop what's called quad dominance. Us jiu-jitsu guys a lot of times have a lot of quad dominance because we're in the guard, we're squeezing, right? We're lifting from our hips. We get this lower back pain because we get this anterior pelvic tilt. Our hips tilt this way because our quads are pulling down towards our knees. So what we want is more glute and hamstring activation to set those hips the way they need to sit. All right, so when I push my hip back from here, my knee stays directly over my ankle, and I feel some tension in this hamstring over here. So right there, I've got my lats turned on, I've got my hamstring turned on. I'm also going to squeeze from my core right in here, these deep intrinsic core stabilizers. That's going to support my lower back. Now when I'm pulling this kettlebell, I'm feeling all the right things. So I feel my lat working, feel my hamstring stabilizing it, and I feel my core stabilizing it right there. So I do 15 on that side, or thereabouts, do 15 on the other side. Because I don't want to end up all lopsided. I'm exhaling as I pull. 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, let's talk about some glute activation. We end up tight in these hip flexors and these quads, right? We talked about that already. What we want to do is activate the opposite muscles to balance them out. I've already put up some other videos about some things we can do to release these muscles and stretch them. All right, these anterior muscles, the muscles in the front. Now we want to activate the posterior in order to counterbalance the anterior. Okay, posterior, anterior. So I'm going to talk about a kettlebell deadlift. We're going to be right here. I'm going to push my hips back. All right. My hips go backwards. My knees stay directly over my ankles. All right. As I come back, you can see that I'm kind of dropping down some. My back is staying straight. I'm not actually using my lower back to move. I'm using the muscles in my lower back to stabilize my spine to a certain degree, but they're not doing the work of moving my body. My hamstrings are doing that if I'm doing the form properly. So what you can do is think about chopping from the hips to push them backwards. Another easy way to do this is to stand about 6 inches from a wall, push your hips back to the wall, walk forward, push your hips back to the wall, walk forward, okay? So let's say you've got the deadlift figured out. You've got good form on your deadlifts, you're not getting any low back pain in your deadlifts, you're feeling good hamstring activation. what you can do is you can progress the exercise to get a little bit more endurance out of it, a little bit more grip strength, a little bit more power. So a progression from a kettlebell deadlift is what we call a kettlebell swing, and we can do that two-handed or one-handed. I'll do it two-handed now for the sake of demonstration. So you want to think about the deadlift when you're starting the kettlebell swing. I'm pushing my hips back. Hips go back, abs are tight, back's nice and straight. Okay, hips are going back. I'm feeling that in my hamstrings and calves. That's how I know I'm on the right track. I've got a lot of retraction from my scapula right here. Okay, so my lats are nice and tight. They're stabilizing my upper back. Right here. Bang. I can just gradually increase the speed of that movement, squeezing my glutes and hips. So as I squeeze my glutes and power forward, that bell's going to swing higher and higher. I can get up into what we call an American kettlebell swing right here. And at the top there, now I've got to stabilize for my abs. So there you have your American kettlebell swing. All right, stay tuned for more kettlebell exercises from Bonfire Wellness. Shout out to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Peace and love.